Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time.
So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Life. And I have some pretty powerful authors in my Zoom room today. Before I introduce them, I want to give a huge shout out to our lead author and the founder of the Wellness Universe, Miss Anna Pereira. Anna had a huge vision for not only this book, this is her 5th book in this Wellness Universe series, you guys. She's celebrating year 10 of wellness. And I'm so honored and grateful to you, Anna, for that big vision and to just be on this journey with you. You have gathered a stellar group of expert co-authors, and we're about to hear from some of them today. This is going to be fun, you guys. David McLeod is here. He's a certified master life coach who supports people struggling with disappointment, unhappiness, or anger about their lives. He helps them to transform into inspirational works of art in which they experience and express purpose, passion, and peace. I like that triple P alliteration, David. Thanks for that one. I've got Doris Muna with us. Achieve inner peace and release emotional turmoil by unlocking your energy and embracing healing. Transform your life emotionally, romantically, financially, and spiritually using energy healing with Doris Muna. Kristen Hallett Raza is a seasoned business and life strategist with over 30 years of experience transforming lives through wellness, energy practices, time management, and mindset coaching. And Tafik Akir, aka Mr. Menopause, is a licensed and award-winning menopause educator, author, speaker, and host, helping women to thrive through menopause, not just survive it. All right, you guys. Let's go. Let's do this. David, would you take a minute to introduce your chapter and give us a little bit of the why behind yours?
Well, hi, everybody. Again, my name is David McLeod. I got involved with Anna right at the very beginning, and I have participated in her previous 4 books. And so I really struggled with this one because she wanted to write a book about 25 tools for life. Well, I thought, what is the one most important thing that I want people to know? So I came up with a chapter 15, and I called it True Identity, True Joy. And there's a subtitle to go with that. But my reason for writing that is that over the course of my years as a certified master life coach and working with a lot of people, I've come to the realization that there's really only one thing only that we need to know, and that is the truth about who we really are. And most of us live our lives pretending to be something else so that we can live up to other people's expectations. But what I want to do is I want to help people learn how to maybe get rid of those masks and costumes that they wear and just allow themselves to be seen for the truth of who they really are. And I believe that, in my opinion anyway, is the secret to true joy.
When you remembered a moment, maybe, I mean, I know there's probably got to be multiple moments where over your lifetime, you're discovering little pieces of that along the way. It's like you take another layer off, and you're more you and more you. And that has a feeling inside. Like, give our listeners an idea. They know it. How? How do you know you're headed in the right direction there?
You know, that's a great question, because it's easy to be sidetracked. It's especially when there are so many teachers and so many spiritual guides and so forth out there, all of whom claim to have a path for you. The real truth is the only path that matters is the one that you follow, that's unique to you, and that it emanates from your soul. And so I think for me personally, when I began to know that I was on the right path was when I really stopped listening to other people, other than perhaps for a little bit of maybe some guidance, which helped me kind of maybe shape my path a little more clearly, rather than to identify the path itself. And so it became a process for me of making that million-mile journey from my head down to my heart. And once I started doing that on a regular basis, I began to uncover the truth of who I am. And not, you talked about the feeling. Well, for me, the feeling can only be described as bliss. That's the only word I can come up with that describes it, because it's a state of total peace and tranquility, and just an amazing state of grace is what it is.
Thank you, David. Thank you for kicking this off so splendidly. We go deep fast around here, you guys. Like, these are my brave healers, and I get to play in the sandbox and have these conversations all day. And it's really fun. I do resonate with that a lot, David. I've had a touch of that peace, which gives you a lot of hope of what to move forward towards. And your chapter is going to be a gift for people. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you.
Kristen, tell us a little bit about your chapter and a little bit about the why behind it.
Sure, thank you. My chapter is chapter 3, and it is the power of values, creating an authentic life you love. And when I heard about the full concept of the book, Tools for Life, for me, there's no better place to start in terms of being intentional and designing your life and being a co-creator of your life than beginning with your values. So I love that David just talked about that path, and I feel like the identification of your values and designing your time around them really builds that path for us.
So everyone has different values, and it's important to do some of that values work to sit and really even understand what they are. I know that came much later in my life, even getting asked the question. Where would, if someone's going to little kind of dip a toe in, how do you start them?
Well, I think that for one thing to know is that the values may change during different seasons of your life. So it's not that you need to be locked into certain values for good. But it really starts with tapping in, getting quiet, being still, and deciding what is important to you. I like to give people lists of words and kind of, circle them and say, oh, like all these things are important. Great. But when you hone it down, what are the top 5 or 8 things that are absolutely fundamental to living your best life? And that is a great way to start. And then look to see if that is how you're spending your time. And they can really inform and be almost like a decision-making filter to say this, we get very easily distracted by the newest thing, the shiny object, and all the information coming at us. And it's a way to come back to center and be intentional and say, okay, these are the things that matter most. And where are they showing up in my life today?
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to rewind to something you said about they do change over time. That I heard that, Kristen,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
a value that you had 10 years ago, 15 years might have drastically changed in your 50s, 60s, 70s, right? And that's okay.
Absolutely. It would be odd if they never changed, to be honest. I mean, you have some real core fundamental things that are always going to be at the center, but then you will also have different seasons of life that you want to adapt and flow with.
Yeah, super awesome. Thank you so much for being here. All of these chapters are going to be such gifts to people. Values is definitely foundational, and it's such a fun self-discovery tool. So I can't wait for people to read your chapter. All right, Mr. Menopause. I just like saying that, so I'm just going to say it a few times. I mean, come on, tell us your story, man. Like, what's up with being a Mr. Menopause?
Well, my name is Tawfiq Akir. My chapter is chapter 7, and it is called Simplifying Menopause Awareness and the First Step to Thriving Through Menopause. And, I always get the question, how does a man become involved in menopause? It's a common thing I get often. And I guess one of the biggest things that I think that really drives me is the fact that so many women to this day struggle through menopause, and it's a situation where it's a lack of awareness that is causing the issues that are going on. And I think that people get so caught up in menopause being a woman's health issue that they miss that it's a woman's life issue and impacts a woman mentally, physically, and emotionally. So that means it impacts her socially, at home, and at work. And guess what? Men are in those areas as well. And so it's really important for men and women to understand. And for me, it just went back to seeing that over 2 decades, well, 30 years plus now, that my mom passed away. And prior to that, she had menopause and she didn't have any resources, any support from medical or anywhere else. And now, 30 some years later, my clients are experiencing the same exact thing. And a large part of that was that I think that the people that are talking about menopause right now are doing a lot of talking as it relates to just that menopause is an important thing, but still women don't know what it means. They don't understand menopause. Like I get so many questions every day. I don't understand this. I don't know why this is happening or what's going on, but there's so much talk about menopause. How could you not know what? Because no one is really explaining it. And so my point is, as an educator, as a male educator, and I always say that because I think it's important for women to know that as a man, I'm not coming in trying to tell you what to do. That's not my goal. My goal is to give you the fact-based proven information so that you can make educated choices for yourself. And so that's my drive as to why I do this. I really just want to become the advocate that my mother never had. So that's how I got really involved in that. And that was 20 years ago. And I never really had an issue at first with the issue of being a man until 2020, when I had to go online and I started posting. Then I started getting all this negative feedback, and I was like kind of wild because I've been doing this 20 years with women and never had an issue, but it was also private training and being referred. So I never had to promote myself. So it was never an issue. So it's been it was an issue for me trying to figure out how to navigate that. But thankfully with you, Laura, you helped me really pull out my story more. And that helped me to really understand my position much better now. And it's clarified everything for me, just by the way. So thank you for that as well.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Your story is beautiful and sweet and relatable with your mom. I loved it. I loved how you wanted to help her. And I also love the energy of you bringing that into your now and to help other people. And of course, the energy of just wanting to educate and help people with that awareness. Everything is awareness. You, all four of you, will be dropping golden nuggets of awareness today. And with awareness, we get a choice. That's cool. Like we want more awareness, we want more choices, right? And I think about that when I think about your message to Feek. So thank you so much for saying yes to this project, and thanks for being here today.
Yes, thank you as well.
Okay, Doris, tell me a little bit about your chapter and give me a little of the why behind yours.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having us today. I've written chapter number 13, and the title of it is My Dance with Death, Drawing from the Reservoir of Gratitude. And when I met Anna and signed up to write a chapter in this book, she said, choose a tool that you can share and choose a tool that you found in your life to be useful. Well, after some thinking, gratitude came up. Gratitude has been with me on my life journey in different forms. And I thought, why not? I know lots of books have been written about gratitude and everybody has their take on gratitude, but that is my take. So as you see in the chapter, I break it down into ways of gratitude, why I got, what pulled me out of that drama that I was going through, trauma, and that's it.
So, I mean, you're right. This gets written and talked about a lot, but it is so powerful. There's a reason it gets written about and talked about a lot because of the powerful energy. When you began your journey of the gratitude, if you remember yourself in the first steps of really embracing it as a tool, what did you first start doing? Were you one of the right 5 things I'm grateful for people? Like, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, it did start like that. I think this is everybody's advice. Well, write down 3 or 5 things a day. And as an energy healer, I've been in this business over 30 years. I noticed that the clients I had who had gratitude energy or gratitude attitude, that their energies were different, that they kind of manifested things faster. Like they only had to, so it wasn't just writing it down, it was just living it, breathing it, being in the now in a state of gratitude. Like sometimes we think, even when we wake up, uh, some people leave gratitude to a special occasion or when they get a gift. But how about being grateful for everything, even the things that go wrong, like you're bumped off a flight or put in another seat and then somebody upgrades you. Like, how beautiful is that?
I love the way that a practice can be about anything around you. At good stuff, small stuff, medium stuff, bad stuff, big stuff. Like, right. I love that. You made me think of that just now with the airplane. Yeah. Travel, especially
Oh,
these
yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah.
Doris, thank you. Your chapter is also such a big gift to our readers. Thanks for being here, for saying yes to this.
Thank you.
A quick thanks to all 4 of you. This book, so for our readers, you're going to enjoy these beautiful, real, vulnerable stories in the chapter. But then these authors step up as the master teachers they are, and they're going to teach you a practical tool. And that is a huge gift. You guys are going to get a whole life toolkit in a book. It is extremely generous, the teachings that are being poured into this book. I hope you guys run to Amazon and grab your copy. Honestly, it's really, really fabulous. So thank you to all 4 of you for taking on that challenge I gave you to share a story like that, and to also get your teachings into black and white. That's not always easy. You're verbalizing, coaching every day, teaching your people, but I'm like, no, you got to write it down and they got to get it. Right. And you did it. Y'all did it so brilliantly. So have some of you guys heard this quote? If all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. So essentially meaning, like, if you only have one tool, you might try to use it for everything, even if it's not the best fit tool for the job, right? So this book is definitely going to solve that problem. We're going to have all the tools. But what I want to know next, Kristen, from you first, is how do you want to encourage people to start thinking about this toolkit and where to start if they're in a bit of overwhelmed by life right now? How would you encourage them?
Well, I think like any new habit or new tool that you're bringing into your life, start small. And as much as there are fabulous tools, you do not have to do them all on the first day. I even think sometimes, like energetically, just kind of opening up to see what you need in the moment, or read through the whole book and then say, okay, the one that really stuck out to me, mark that one and start there, and find an accountability partner, perhaps make sure that you both get the book and work together and say, I'm going to start with, chapter 11, and my accountability partner is going to start with chapter 1, but we're going to check in and see how can we in small ways implement this tool and weave it into things we are already doing. Because my sense is that someone picking up this book already has a toolbox of some sort, and which is perhaps why they are, attracted to the book, or maybe they're starting with an empty toolbox, but just putting one tool in at a time and waiting till you also master that tool and then incorporate something else. So one small bite at a time, which is the best way for making something a part of your life rather than something you're just like checking the box. You want to embody it. And so it can be simple, and consistency can look like many different things.
Love that. That's perfect. Take that small bite. I also love the idea of an accountability partner, because these books, oh, they're going to be so cool for like book clubbing at a whole nother level. But aside from just sharing about the stories and the chapters, but actually helping people and doing the exercises together, and then checking in and seeing, how did it work for you? Like, what happened? I love it. All right, Tafiq, you've got somebody in a bit of overwhelm. They don't know where the heck to start on this journey. How would you help them get started?
I agree a lot with what Kristen was saying about starting with one tool. I think that what I love about the book itself as well is just the whole idea of self-care in itself. I think that is one of the key things in my field, of course, as menopause, is that's one of the first things we focus on is self-care. I also like the idea of when you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do. Like you said, there's a lot of tools in this book. So sometimes that can feel overwhelming of not knowing where to start. So if you do, as you stated earlier, everything is about assessment. Assess where you are right now and what you actually need to start with. And then you go into the book and find that tool to start with first. Because also, too, when you start with too many tools, like if you start with 2 or 3, that one thing that you did could actually I've already helped one of those other tools, and then you're kind of like doing something over again, or you're just wasting time. So really take that time to figure out what it is that you need now and focus on that. And I had never thought about the idea of an accountability partner. So that's also a great idea to do as well, because you can do it together. And like you were saying, like having this like as a book club type of a thing, it's also like a community type of a thing. We've created our own little community here, and there's a whole lot of different resources in this book that can help so many different people.
Yes, for sure. The self-care idea is a wonderful reminder for everybody. So, of course, the Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care. That's the main series title of all 5 books. And we're hitting this one with tools for life. It's so powerful: mind, body, spirit, soul, all of the ways, all of the tools. Yeah, cool. Okay, Doris, how about you? So, you know, the book, or not about the book, like you've got someone who is just in overwhelm, and they need to hop on this healing journey, dip a toe in. How are you going to encourage them?
Yeah, it I like what David said, that there's a lot of abundance of healers and advice out on the market, and you kind of added to that. Um, People are overwhelmed and they say, I've heard this before. But I would urge the reader to put away all judgment and all preconceived ideas and past information, and look at this book as a new page, as a new chapter, and take each chapter separately. Um, the wisdom is between the lines. And I've read some chapters, and I think it's not just the tool at the end. Just read it and go and feel the feeling of the author, what they went through, why they're sharing this with you. And I think when you connect the heart energy with the writer, this is where the reader will benefit the most.
Yeah, super duper way to think about that. It's what I love the most about today, being together and you all being here to speak to this audience so that they can kind of feel, right, and hear you and feel you. I love that, Doris. Thank you. David, what do you want to add to these already amazing answers to this?
Well, Doris kind of channeled what I was going to say. Um, My recommendation is to read the stories, because the stories reflect the qualities and the character and everything else about the author himself or herself. And you're going to resonate with some of them and maybe not so much with others. But whatever happens during that process, there's a connection that happens between you and the author. When you're reading the story, there's a connection that happens. It basically completes the cycle. You can't have a story unless people hear it or read it, right? So take advantage of the stories and let the way you feel about the author help you decide which tool you want to look at more closely. Now, I'm not going to say that if you don't resonate with somebody, don't look at the tool, because here's what I have learned for myself. There have been times when people have triggered me, and that has been the greatest gift I've ever received. So if you find yourself reacting in some way to one of the authors, maybe take that as a sign, there's something here that I got to pay closer attention to. This book is way more than just a bunch of stories and a bunch of tools. It's not just 25 tools for life. All right. So take advantage of every word that's in this book. Read it all and just take it with as much openness and acceptance as you can. And believe me, the right answers will come to you at the right time.
I love that. Love that answer. I'm gonna in our poetry world, when we hear a line in a poem and it is so juicy and awesome, we shout out to the poet at the microphone, rewind. So I'm going to rewind David to the sometimes your biggest reaction is the biggest opportunity for healing in your life. And so if we can pause with a deep breath right there, instead of get all huffy puffy like we do, right? We might just find the biggest jewel of our lives in that reaction. So I wanted to rewind that. All right. You guys are so awesome. Okay. So Tafiq, what's the most important thing you want people to know about this menopause thing?
Again, it just goes back to awareness. One of my biggest things that I always say is when you know better, you can do better. But as it relates to menopause, you can live better. So it's one of those things, again, like people don't realize menopause has 3 stages. The first stage can last 15 years. So women think of menopause happening at 50, but you could get symptoms at 35. So it's different things of knowing and understanding. When you have that information, you're able to prepare yourself, able to move yourself forward, being able to not feel overwhelmed or sideswiped because you didn't know what was happening. A lot of times people think that like some of the things they're experiencing is just because they're getting older. Well, no, it's because your hormones have changed and there's things that you can do for that. So again, it's just more just about awareness. And there's so much information about menopause, but what you want to make sure is that you're getting information from someone that is accredited, whether it's nationally accredited or internationally accredited. Because those are the people that have actually had the education. Another thing a lot of people don't know is that 60% of gynecologists only get a 1-hour lecture on menopause throughout their whole training, and 20% say they got no education. So your doctors are not even educated in menopause. So it's up to you to be an advocate for yourself. But to do that, you need to know where to get the information and what information is valid. So you want accredited information. I always recommend that people go to the Menopause Society website, because you can find a doctor in your area who is accredited through them. And they're used to be called the North American Menopause Society. Now it's just the Menopause Society. But awareness is, again, know better, you can do better.
That's a pretty intense statistic. And it's eye-opening, isn't it, you guys? Like, whoa, yeah. But I think
another one too is that a lot of people think of hot flashes, mood swings. There's up to 60 symptoms of menopause. So you think of the ones that you know of, there's a whole lot of other ones that you don't know that are affecting your body. But when you know them, you can do something about it.
Yeah, the awareness for sure. Oh, I can't wait for you all to get your hands on this book. You all are going to be able to be taught by these master teachers and experts. And this is way more than a book, like David said. I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. Doris, what's the most important thing you want our listeners to know about gratitude?
I want them to know that there's always a silver lining and that to look at life like a diamond and every facet is something. So one of the facets is gratitude, but there's so many others. And I like what Tafi said about the awareness. I like what Kristen said about how you pair with your friends or book clubs. And so this is something you can take and do whatever you want with it. You can develop it, you can expand it, you can share it. It's common knowledge, yet it's the practice that makes it effective.
Like a lot of things in that practice is the power, you guys, for sure. Thank you, Doris. David, what's the most important thing you want people to know about creating that stress-free life?
Well, so I want people to understand, the first thing I want everyone to understand is if you imagine the most amazing person that you can think of in your life, I want you to know that you are even amazinger than that. This is something that we tend to downplay. We see something that we like, we idolize perhaps, and we forget that there's some amazing beauty inside here, right? And this is what I want people to understand. Once you accept the fact that you are a truly magnificent being, and you just simply accept it because there's no point in resisting it anymore, what happens when resistance goes away? Stress goes down. It's almost instantaneous. So, I've heard some great words here. I've heard acceptance. I've heard awareness. I've heard gratitude. I've heard values. I've heard, we all have a different path. I mean, there's so many wonderful teachings here, and they're all true. And ultimately, the real truth boils down to coming down inside into you, who you really are, and knowing the truth from there. And that is your secret to true joy and lasting peace and stress-free life.
Love it, David. Thank you. I'm thinking about so many different things y'all are making me think about in terms of just our power to create this life that we love, right? It's juicy. Kristen, how about you for this one? What's the most important thing you want people to know about the power of values?
Well, Laura, I think you just touched on it on one of the last things you said, and that is the power of creating a life you love. And so, what I would want people to know is that you have agency over your ability to design your life, to live life by design and not default. I hear so many times people talking about they are crazy busy, but it's not with things that they really want to be doing, or time is a thief, or youth is wasted on the young. I hear all these things all the time bantered about, but really, we all have agency with our choices. And so I think that's where it begins. And so that's what I would want people to know, is that you have agency over how you're spending your time. And there obviously are sometimes consequences, or often consequences, for any choice, but there is a choice. And so it's really tuning in to what is in your heart, similar to what David said. I love that. Really getting into what you believe is going to make you fulfilled, happy, peaceful, joyful, whatever it is you're looking for, and being intentional about it.
Thank you. I love it. All right. I want to get around to all of you for this last nugget. You all have been bringing up awareness so much today, and it is really one of my favorite ever topics. If y'all were going to peek in my window and see me in a practice. Doris just talked about the practices that we all have are our power to create something and build on it and manifest and be living the life we dream of right this moment, right? So if you were going to peek into my window, I would have some different things you would see me doing in my favorite practices, but I'm going to challenge you all today to only share one. I know you have many, many. Okay. For me, my pen is on the notebook. That is my meditation. My journaling practice is the way I connect with my higher power, my awareness, and everything kind of goes from there. Doris, what's your way?
My way is to walk in nature and be grounded and have my feet on the ground, but my crown connected to heaven.
Are all of you nature lovers also, like I am? Yeah, we're all going to nod for everybody's practice, you guys. I know we are. David, what's yours?
Well, if you were to peek into my window, first you'd probably catch me dressing, but poetry and music are two of my go-to sources. I mean, that's it, really. I just love both of them.
I can hear it right now. I can see you doing it. You are dressed, by the way. Seeing you do it and hearing the music, and I love it. All right, Kristen, what would your practice be? What would we see?
Oh my gosh, you're making it hard because I would say the first three things, I'm journaling in nature with some music playing. That's what that's what I would be doing. But in an attempt to not repeat, I would say that being in connection and community like we are today, that some of my greatest learnings are surrounding myself with people that educate, inspire, and empower me. So that would be after I already journaled in nature with my dance music going on.
I love that so much because I was thinking the same thing. Well, I would be walking in nature, bring my journal with me, maybe listening to a little sound healing music on my AirPods. We could do it all. Tafik, how about you? What's one of the practices that you want to add to this?
For me, it's anything related with creativity, whether it's drawing, painting, or even just turning on some music and just dancing or have my own little dance party. I actually did it yesterday. I just felt there was a song came on. I'm like, I really like this song, and I hadn't danced in a while, so I just started dancing here in my studio. And though that for me, that's my release. Like I like to do things. Like I often tell my clients for them to do the deep breathing thing. For me, that works a little bit, but I actually need to be more physical for me.
I love that answer. I would be dancing in the woods with my journal, listening to so we could get all of your answers into one. I love that. I mean, bottom line message for our listeners, there's so many ways to connect. Pick one that you love. Be in that love, that generous love energy. What is it that sparks that feeling in you, right? To all of you authors today, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you so much for being here to share it with everyone. This gift of a book, you guys, it's way more than a book. It's a generous community. Kristen mentioned that connection and community is extremely important. And you're not just looking at authors of a book here. I've got them hooked up with their sites and all of the amazing things they're doing down below. Maybe they said something today that really sparked a question, or you need some support, or you want to reach out. They're here for that. So drop down into the show notes and explore their websites. Check out all of the amazing things that they're doing. And also remember that you can gather over at the Wellness Universe for everything coming up for our Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care book series, events, activities. Oh my gosh, Anna Pereira, she's got a couple of things going on, right? Lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.